Let me get the lighting. Light. Ah, that's better. Yeah. So I've been gone for a week. I just needed to take a break. I didn't feel like dealing with trolls. Um, Plus, I just been busy. Um, but I'm not gonna let trolls deter me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use more community moderation tools going forward. So this is gonna start off. Um, so right now, anyone can participate, but that may change. Um, as more trolls come in, I'm gonna make the community moderation more severe, where it'll go from anyone can participate right now, but if it gets if it gets out of hand, then I'll switch to subscriber only community chat room, where only people who are subscribed can communicate in the chat room. But I found out 2 weeks ago, even when I had it on subscriber only, there were literally people subscribed who were trolls. I'm like, that I didn't I severely underestimated how much some losers are, that they were literally subscribed just so they control. So um being that I have no active members, what I'll do going forward is that I will if the trolls get too out of hand, even trolls that are subscribers, I'll put on approved users only. So it'll go so that's how things will escalate. So right now, anyone can participate in this chat room for this live stream. This live stream is Ask Me Anything Monday, so anyone can come chime in, chat with me or with others in the chat room. When there are folks in the chat room, anyone can participate. And if it kicks up a notch, then it will go up to subscriber only. And then if it's still abusive language, then it will go to approved users only. So for right now, anyone can participate. This is Ask Me Anything Monday. You can ask me any questions with with the proviso that these are appropriate family friendly style questions. Nothing nothing profane or you know I shouldn't even have to say all this, but yeah, nothing that's profane, nothing that I cannot, you know, reiterate without getting demonetized. Um, and also with the proviso that I cannot give you legal, medical, or psychological advice. But if you do want some semi professional advice as far as certain like relationship type stuff or whatever, I will do that, but you'll have to do that in the form of a super chat. If you do that in the super chat, that's all is all good. But hello to everyone coming into the chat room again. It's Asking Me Anything Monday, which means you can ask me random questions. Just make sure they're family friendly and that you're not asking me some complicated therapeutic question that will require a super chat. So other than that, feel free to ask me questions. As I said, as long as the language doesn't get abusive, anyone can participate in the chat room. If the language does get abusive, I'll kick it up to subscriber only. And if it stays abusive even on subscriber only, then I'll kick it up to approved users only. But for right now, anyone can participate. Anyone can ask questions. Don't say, "Can I ask a question?" Just go ahead and ask the question. Um, so feel free to ask questions. Just make sure they're family friendly. That's all. Family friendly questions. But hello to everyone as well. So who's this? Um, GUME.67 says hello. And all right, I'm gonna put on my reading glasses here. I was trying to do it without it, but I'm not gonna keep squinting at the screen. So I hated seeing other streamers do that. I'm like, why are you just squinting at the screen? Why don't you just wear some reading glasses or get your eyes fixed? So, um, and M Clevey 662 says hi. What's up? What's my favorite food? General So chicken. I already see a few trolls. Keep it up, and I will put this on subscriber only, so you can't leave a message. And I'll probably just ban you as well. So, as a matter of fact, uh, we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Thank you, Alani, for the super gift. What's up, Carlton? What's going on, bro? Sorry, I've been gone for a week. I just was taking my time, uh, you know, hanging out, and I wanted to take a break from dealing with trolls, but that's all right because now I'm just gonna use more community moderation tools. Like if a bunch of people just come in here with the shits and giggles, then I'm just gonna like kick it up to subscriber only, and then if the subscribers want to be trolls too, then I'll kick it up to approved users only. So that's how I'm doing this going forward. So I don't stress myself because a lot of the trolls actively are looking at trying to keep people from trying to stream because what for whatever reasons they're losers. Anywho, answers what if you just subscribe? Yeah. If you subscribe, I appreciate this. People subscribing, always appreciate. Saying you're not a troll. No, 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 no. So what I was saying, and I was like, if people come here trolling, then I will kick it up to subscriber only, so the only subscribers can participate in the chat room. That's what I was saying. I'm not suggesting that everyone who participates is a troll. Someone said, "Are you Jewish?" Okay, so again, just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna like I don't even feel like roasting people. I'm just gonna go ahead and just hide them from the channel. I don't have the patience right now. It is good to take a break sometimes. Yeah, it does, especially with live streaming. It can take a toll, especially dealing with stupid people. Like I, this is why I didn't go into clinical psychology. I didn't want to have a career dealing with disturbed people. And it seems like being online, that's a thing you got to deal with as well. I'm like, okay, so I'm still using my degree. I'm still using one of my degrees, which is psychology, to deal with mentally unhinged people, even though I purposefully avoided that trajectory in my academic career. Um, Ancestry to Common streamer. I've seen fake streamers who loop videos over and over again. What do you mean they loop videos? So you mean they're not actively streaming in the video, like they like pre-recorded it and upload and like I don't now. So I will be honest though, and I will roast. I do have roast sessions sometimes with streamers. I mean, sorry, not with with viewers in the chat room. But those are only the trolls. Anyone who's been on my streams previously can tell you, like Carlton can tell you, like I'm pretty chill until like someone comes in trolling, and then I'll have a roast session with them, and then people will be like, "Oh, why are you so upset?" I'm like, I'm not actually upset. I'm just like returning fire back on them, but I'm still pretty calm about it. But it does get stressful dealing with that. That's why I was like, I wouldn't end up like Kevin Samuels sitting there dealing with trolls 2, 3 in the morning, and then gotta get back up around 8 in the morning to do his day-to-day job while sitting there slamming Red Bull energy drinks. No, I'm not gonna be up all night drinking and consuming energy drinks while dealing with a bunch of trolls who I would not like be like him. So I do my streams early. Like I used to do them late, like around 10, 11, 12 o'clock. I stopped doing that because I get up early. So Gary Vendetta, he says hard being a black man online. Live streams roast you for being black. How unfortunate of a world we live in. Yeah, so you'll get trolls who say racist stuff. Then you'll have other folks who troll you just because of your age, like, oh, why are you streaming when you know, you're in your 40s? Why should you be streaming? Blah 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 blah. I'm like, why do you care? Like, if you don't like it, then don't watch. Like that's so perverse to me. Like, hate watching is a weird phenomenon to me. It's like I wouldn't hate watch. Like it's just like I don't hate watch TV shows. Like I'm not gonna watch a show in which I dislike it just to see what happens next. That's weird. But yeah, you'll get roasted by a bunch of racist people for being black. But but most of those folks who do that tend to be people who are already mentally unglued. Like again, these are folks who are mentally unhinged. Most of online trolls have a personality type that comes from the dark triad of personality, which is narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Also, a lot of folks who tend to have no filter online and probably in real life as well um, tend to have an autistic disorder, or they're so-called neurodivergent, which I don't like that term. It just means they have neurodevelopmental disorders, which is again a fancy way of saying minor brain damage. But Carl says troll seeks attention as a form of currency. Yeah, it's true. And like I said, that's either because, like I said, a lot of them have personality types from the dark triad of personality, or some of them are seeking the attention online that they can't get in real life because they're autistic or have have serious ADHD or OCD or Tourette syndrome or something of the nature, where they can't get they can't seek can they aren't able to seek connection in real life because they're fucked up. So they'll do it online and do that attention usually by being uh, very offensive. Like I deal with a client and that who's a troll online. She says she loves. Uh, I won't use this person's name because she does watch my streams from time to time. But so I do have a client as a life. I do life coaching, and she's she has significant autism, and she has the kind with this the more serious kind, like the kind when you're usually like identified as a juvenile with it, and it usually coincides with lower intellect. And the problem is um, she's treatment avoidant, so she won't get the necessary treatment to be better. And as an adult, no one's going to hold your hand anymore. Uh, she goes online, she trolls people whom she think are friends, and then plays the victim when these people don't like her, try to avoid her, or even report her because she's in the military. Which don't ask me how that happened because I don't know. I just assumed that the 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 branch in which she went to has low standards, the Navy, but because the Army definitely wouldn't have. No, no, and it's not just because of her mental problems, but she's not physically fit either. I was like, most recruiters wouldn't even taking her seriously. Like they see a woman coming in who's heavy set, um, who has obviously some mental instability, and it's like, all right, we'll sign you up. Like he that recruiter must have been struggling to meet his quota. I don't know, but she still deals with him because he's part of her reservist unit, and he completely dislikes her. I'm like, and I'm not sympathetic to him because I'm like, you put in the paperwork to put this problematic person into the military who can't follow orders, which is like the biggest thing you're supposed to be able to do: be physically fit and follow orders. She can't do either. Like I said, aside from that, she is a notorious online troll. She loves elephants, which is what I was getting to like 2 minutes ago before I went on this rant. And yet she will find elephant sanctuaries and troll them, asking them all sorts of completely weird and absurd questions. Like, I hear elephants like to grape uh, uh, rhinoceros, the rhinoceros, or what? Rhinoceros. How do you say them? The rhinos? Is it rhinoceros? Not rhinoceros. Rhinoceros. Whatever. Rhinos. Okay. The 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 endangered species of white rhinos. She was saying, "Oh yeah, I heard that elephants like to grape them. How do you deal with that?" Or or say, when you put them down, do you eat their meat? And also just all sorts of weird stuff for someone who claims that she loves elephants. And she trolls them, and she thinks it's funny, and then gets doesn't understand why she gets the consequences she does. Because like I said, she's both autistic and has the low intellect, which is the strongest form of autism, because the spectrum has made it that anyone can call themselves part autistic spectrum disorder type. But I find it dubious. No need to get into all that. The point is, many online trolls like her tend to be autistic, of low intellect, or they have a personality type of the dark triad of personality. And it shows in how completely um, bizarre their behavior is online. And so if I have to deal with that here on my streams as other streamers do, like I said, I'm just going to kick up my community moderation tools, where I'll restrict it to subscriber only. And if a bunch of people are subscribing just to troll, like 2 weeks ago, then I'll kick it up to approved users only, where basically I'm just going to be talking to the folks I really rock with. So, oh, and guys, be forewarned that my AI moderator will time people out for anything perceived as bad language. The Gus thing is something I've timed out because I used to have a. So I know you didn't say anything bad about. You just mentioned I look like Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, but I literally had a bunch of trolls that would come in here saying that. So when I put that in my list of stuff for the for the AI to pick up, because literally people were just coming in here saying that just to try to be funny, like they were spamming the chat room. So that's why that's in my list of things that my AI won't let people mention on here, is that I look like Gus Fring, because that's, like I said, people are literally spamming the chat room 2 years ago with that. Um, and said I read a book about autism called "You Can See Me," about an 11-year-old autistic girl, us and watched I swear the movie. Gary Vee, this is what they just hate us black men because we be clapping their wives' cheeks or see their web history. Oh, don't get me started with like, 'cause I have a lot of white viewers. I don't know their views on that, but I think most I think most confident men of any race don't care if a man of another race bangs people of their own race because it's not taken from them. like, unless they're like unless that brother like literally took the took the dude's girl. I don't think most self confident guys care. Like I don't think most self confident white men care if a black man dates a white chick. I don't think most self confident black men care if a white guy dates a black chick. I don't think most self confident Asian men care um if a black guy or white guy dates an Asian chick. But the quali the qual the the qualifier is self confident. A lot of these folks aren't self confident, so they do have those issues. But I mean, my wife is Asian. Um, for folks who don't know, and she has appeared on my live stream a few times. Uh, but I haven't, eh, so automatically once I have her on here, I'm definitely kicking in the community moderation tools because you get a lot of, you just get a lot of socially awkward men that don't know what to say, and um, when you have women on the live stream because I've had female guests on here as well, white, white as well as Asian. Don't think I had a black woman on here yet, but hey, if there's any black women who want to guest who want to come out onto my live stream, they're welcome to it as well. I don't discriminate. Um, but yeah, um, so to protect them, yeah, I will kick it up to the subscriber only anytime I have like a female guest, just so they don't have to worry about the aberrant aberrant comments that some people might make. Carden says, I've seen some streamers ignore the trolls and they will comment, please respond to me. Yeah, I've seen that too on here. I've literally ignored people, uh the the trolls, and they would just say, please respond to me. So that is a tactic as well. But you know how I am, Carlton. Sometimes I just like to roast the fuck out of them. Some get mad, some I think get get enjoyment out of being recognized. So I'm just going to starve them of attention. I'm either going to ignore them or I'm just going to ban them outright or both. But as you know, as it become if too many of them like start spamming the live stream, then I'll kick it up to subscriber only. Like because you can't avoid trolls completely, but it's when the ratio becomes disproportionate to the amount of comments in the stream itself. Like if most of the comments are coming from trolls, then it means I need to kick up the community moderation. But if it's just one or two, it's better just to ignore them, or I could roast them. My here Saeed dash D5XN says I am my here from India. Have a great day, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it. My Indian, I think he's Pakistani actually. My Pakistani neighbor actually just told me to check out his restaurant. He has his own restaurant out in Towson, Maryland. I gotta remember the name of it because I was like, where? Because he was like, yeah, come to my restaurant, brother. I was like, where is it? He was like, he's it's in Towson. He was like, I forgot the name, but he's like, you gotta try the smash burger. I was like, oh yeah, I'm there. I was like, and even cooler, he was like, yo, he's like, when you come, he said you get it for free. He said if I'm not there, he said just call me. I'll let them know. He said you get it for free. He said, anytime, else you come in, he's like, you get a discount. I'm like, cool. I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. Free food? Shit. I was like, Towson? All right, bet. So Towson is outside of Baltimore City for folks who don't know what I'm referring to, if you ever watch Seinfeld, his his friend slash former girlfriend Elaine was from Towson, so maybe I think people might know Towson from Seinfeld, but it's basically a part of Baltimore County outside of Baltimore City, which used to be, and it still is somewhat nice, but a lot of the a lot of the little ninjas have been infiltrating into Towson, fucking it up like ninjas tend to do. Harry F. B. Rice says, Harry F. Bryce says, just a community reminder that you should change your car's cabin air filter and also replace your house's AC air filter. And you should just go out and get some fresh freaking air and not be inside all day. That might help as well. I think that's the better community reminder. Get some fresh air. Don't rely on fresh air to be circulated through the house. Get some fresh air. Open up your windows when it's nice outside. You know, save money on on your energy bill by just turning it off and opening the window. That's better than So I am Broly 0000 says some guy was racist on here saying white people are weird. People, uh, I don't know what to say about that. Like people say silly stuff. You got to learn how to filter some things, bro. Caleb Walls 7214 says autistic, low IQ, dark triad. No, okay, so you guys probably think I'm being funny, but I'm not. I'm actually speaking from a point of like some knowledge. Okay, so the dark triad is a corollary to the big five. So many of you may have heard with personality tests the so-called big five, like introversion, extroversion, all that sort of stuff. So the corollary was the dark triad of personality, which is the as more research went into personalities, more behavioral research into uh, personality psychology, which is a sub, which is a field within psychology, a subfield. In personality psychology, they realized there's also these dark personality types. That's the dark triad, and a lot of folks who are trolls do tend to be from that spectrum of personality types. That as far as the autistic low IQ thing is more common than what you think. And so, like I said, I think the so-called autistic spectrum is spread a little too thin nowadays, where it's actually become meaningless. Some people are self-reporting themselves as being part of the spectrum, and now it's just used to categorize anyone who's socially awkward. And I don't think it's a useful classification. Many of these people were, adolescents or adults coming and saying that that they think they're on a spectrum, and they're kind of forcing clinicians to recognize them as being on the spectrum. But the folks who really have issues, maybe we need to go back to seeing it as a category of disorders instead of a spectrum where you had back before they started doing the spectrum thing on the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders version 5, when we went still dealing with the DSM-4. You had a category. So you had something like Asperger's syndrome, which is something something probably Sheldon Cooper might have had, like Asperger's syndrome, like people who are like or they also call like high functioning autistic folks. So someone who might be considered high functioning or Asperger's syndrome. Then you had autistic disorder, and those were the folks typically with the lower IQ. And then you had atypical autism, and so the spectrum was meant to rectify the problem and being able to diagnose and classify folks who had the atypical forms of autism. But again, the problem is that it was spread too thin, and now it's the so now a diagnosis of being as part of the autistic spectrum disorder doesn't do too much in terms of being able to classify these people for so that they can get the necessary help that they need. So maybe we should go back to the old form of of seeing autism as a category, as categories of disorders instead of a whole spectrum. And we can go back to saying, okay, you have these high functioning autistic people here, which was formerly called Asperger's syndrome. Then you have autistic disorder, which is those folks who tend to be autistic and also dealing with lower IQ. And then and then you're still going to just have people who are atypical autism because um, they the because the issue is that these are probably separate disorders, not a spectrum, because it seems like there's going to be separate genetic markers for those different disorders. Someone who's a high functioning autistic person probably has different genetic markers for that disorder than someone who has the more traditional autistic disorder who's dealing with also with lower IQ than from people who have atypical autism, which may again be caused by another biological marker. Okay, I'm trying not to use too much like technical terms. Carter says the intelligent people on the spectrum aren't online trolling. Exactly. Like the 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 the, the intelligent people. So a high functioning person would be like the character that Ben Affleck plays in the accountant. In the accountant, like that actually shows different folks dealing with different forms of autism. Because in the accountant part two, he has an entire firm, and everyone in his firm also has autism. Like there's someone who has like there was one person, there was like his right hand person. She had like um, non-verbal autism, so they deal with a form of mutism. So that's also a form of autism, like the nonverbal autistic folks. Um, Whereas Ben Affleck's character was obviously a high functioning autistic person. Yeah, he a high functioning autistic person is not going to be someone who's going to be like going into live streams spamming the chat rooms with irreverent comments, right? So obviously we're dealing with people who so obviously when you're talking about the typical online troll who spam streamers um chat rooms and are very disruptive, or they go onto like platforms like Instagram or Facebook and just say very bizarre things. These aren't the high functioning autistic people. These are the more people who either have a more traditional autistic disorder or they are folks who come from the dark triad of personality. I mean, an intelligent person has better things to do with their time, right? Sheldon is going to be sitting there doing other things than being online. So, Callus is brilliant. Three possibilities. Yeah. Nikita Dog 101 says, God loves you, bro. Have a good day, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Callus says, what's some you like to I'm sorry, um what's some you like to be contrarian about? What's something I'm sorry. You, you're speaking kind of colloquially, so I couldn't get it at first. What's something you like to be contrarian about? Actually, I'm not contrarian. So this is something I always explain to new viewers is that my name, Just A Contrarian, is actually a tongue in cheek um, title because I'm just make. It's basically it's basically I making fun of people who dismiss anyone who disagrees with them as just being a contrarian because I've heard that a lot. Because anytime you disagree with someone on anything that they think everyone else should agree with, they're like, "Oh, you're just a contrarian." So that's where I got the term from. Because people who who utilize critical thinking skills, particularly in a time right now where we're dealing with a lot of anti-intellectualism, and we deal with a lot of folks who especially online gravitate towards collective stupidity. You can call it, dislike someone who is critical thinking. They'll just dismiss them as a contrarian. So I'm not really contrarian about anything. A contrarian is just someone who takes the minority viewpoint on any given topic because it makes them seem smart by being the lone wolf who takes that. It makes them seem edgy. Like a contrarian is basically like sort of a contrarian is like the intellectual version of an edge lord, right? Like if if mostly everyone at some conversation was like, yeah, we all agreed that, you know, killing innocent people is wrong. It'll be a contrarian was saying, well, actually, it's not wrong if they can get away with it. Like, so that's a contrarian. Like, they try to, they're like the intellectual version of an edge lord. Like, they like to take the minority viewpoint on any given topic because it makes them seem like they're more savvy than everyone else. So I'm not a contrarian in that regards whatsoever. Okay, what's up, AI? Mahad, I love you. No, the AI. So the AI Streamlabs is something a lot of streamers can utilize. It's not not a real person. It's just definitely an AI through my Streamlabs that helps me moderate. Also, I think I already answered Elric underscore Melnabani's question. What's a contrarian? So I think I answered that already. Um, I'm not sure what Elric is talking about. He said, but don't do that. SHIT in China if you don't speak Chinese. I'm not sure what you were referring to. Give me a second, guys. All right, I'm back. Sorry. Thank you, Rock1193. My AI doesn't like a string of emojis because sometimes people will spam the chat with it. So that's why it will time someone out for it. But I appreciate the love. The Shovel 1195 says guys are pretty much all the same. I don't know in what respects you mean. In some respects, yeah, we are all the same, you know, anatomically, psychologically. I don't, but you know, if you're meaning other things, I don't know how to respond to that. So Eric says, which country is your wife from, bro? She's from the Philippines. Curious for everyone says, thanks for spreading truth anytime, any place. Appreciate it. Says, you seem like a genuine dude. Thank you. Anyone requesting me to say something as Asher's puppet three as well puppets threes? No, if you're requesting me to say something specifically, and again, I'm not stupid enough to say this. You are one of these low IQ trolls that I'm talking about. Um, if you want me to say something, then you will pay the super chat for it, and even if you do, I'm still may not say it, but you're not going to get any requests from me unless you drop a super chat because I'm not going to let you troll for free. Eric says, "What is a contrarian?" So I know whether to subscribe. So yeah, so I think I just described it. Like I said, a contrarian is something that I am not. A contrarian is basically a person who takes the minority viewpoint on any given topic because it makes them seem like the smartest person in the room. I'm not a contrarian. I'm someone who believes in critical thinking skills. But to the average person who finds thinking systematically to be a mental chore, they 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 don't appreciate critical thinking skills, so they'll just mark anyone as doing such as being a contrarian, which I am not. Erickson Teller from New Jersey. Are you from Virginia? No, I'm from Maryland. Uh, Eric says, is Baltimore north or south of the Mason Dixon line? Baltimore is south of the Mason Dixon line. The Mason Dixon line is between Pennsylvania and Maryland, and if you extend it eastward, um, Delaware is below the Delaware technically is below the Mason Dixon line as well. Although most people don't recognize Delaware as a southern state, but Baltimore, despite being south of the Mason Dixon line, is considered one of the north one of the great cities of the Northeast, though. So from D.C. to Boston is basically a megapolis, which forms the East Coast, the so-called East Coast cities, the big, uh, the big East. Uh, Finland, thank you for the super gift. Gary says your ability to fluidly carry a conversation with multiple people in live streams is sincerely amazing. Thank you, bro. I try. People don't appreciate it. And matter of fact, people used to get mad at me for holding conversations with each individual commenter, saying, "Bro, you're behind in the chat room. You're like 10 minutes behind. You're 20 minutes behind. 30 minutes behind, et cetera, et cetera." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because I'm actually talking to people I'm talking to people in real time. Like, how would you expect me to see to see your comment if I'm, responding to people in real time?" And it used to, and I used to have to keep telling people, I was like, look, there's going to be a time delay because I'm chatting with people in real time. This isn't pre-recorded. So, but some people just got frustrated and thought I was ignoring them. Like, I'm not ignoring them. I just got to get through the chat room. And I would even have my moderators because they can see it in real time, whereas I can't because I'm, actively talking with people or responding to comments. And my moderators will be like, "Calm down. He will respond when he gets to your comment." So, it, I, I guess it's a skill. Carter says the fake spectrum people are just overly stressed, lacking sleep, bad diet, no exercise, and drinking too much Starbucks. Facts. Yeah, like I said, a lot of these folks are now, you know, like you said, the fake spectrum people. A lot of people are wanting to be a part of the spectrum because it's for once they can finally be a part of something. Like a lot of them are just socially awkward. That's what it is. They need social training. They're not really on the spectrum because they want to call themselves neurodiverse. Technically, everyone's neurodiverse. Everyone's brain is different, is wired a little differently. So no one's behavior is going to be exact unless you're part of the Borg. If you gotta be a nerd if if you don't know Star Trek, the Borg, or what's another like you're a clone, you're an android, not the phones, the robots. But yeah, I mean, everyone's neurodiverse, so I find the term neurodivergent meaningless because everyone has everyone's brains are wired differently. So yes, people are going to behave differently as a direct reflection of the fact that everyone's brain is different. Like the the the, the golden rule of neuroscience is that all human behavior is a reflection of the activity of the brain. So, yes, we're all neurodiverse. So it becomes meaningless to say neurodivergent versus neurotypical. Like, what is neurotypical? What is neurodivergent? Right? These are meaningless terms. And spreading and using the umbrella term, you know, autistic spectrum disorder to cover anyone who may just not have who may lack social graces, um, and or or other sorts of things. Like it does a disservice to the people who actually do suffer from traditional autistic disorder, because these are the people who actually need the help the most. Whereas these other people are just getting a term, especially the younger people are definitely trying to get uh, the get diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder because it allows them um, benefits with taking tests in school and in college. They can get more time taking these tests, or they can delay taking a final, a midterm, because now they have this diagnosis of autism. So I find a lot of people are misusing the term, just like a lot of people were misusing ADHD back in the day. Like a lot of people were saying were a lot of people were overdiagnosing children with ADHD just because they were energetic. And it's like not every energetic child has ADHD. It's just the fact that if you remove recess out of school, and you plow them with a bunch of sugary foods, yeah, they're gonna have issues. Especially then, not to mention what they might be going through at home. These may be so their behavior at school may just be a reaction to poor nutrition and a and neglectful parenting. Not necessarily that they have actual neurodevelopmental disorder, which ADHD would be. So just as ADHD was being overly diagnosed 20 years ago, I think nowadays the autistic spectrum disorder is being overly diagnosed now, and I think they've spread the meaning of the spectrum way too thin that it's become virtually meaningless for science as far as scientific validity is concerned. So anyway, Carlos says, "Guys, everyone hit the like button, please." Nightcrawler 9034 said, "What's good, Unc? What's up?" Tom Foster 19 says, "You going to the brothel today?" I don't have brothel money, bro. Plus, I'm married. Like, I'm good. That in house, the in house is where it's at, bro. What's up, Howard? He says, "Hey now, have you seen the new Super Mario Bros. Movie?" No, I haven't seen it yet. As a matter of fact, you know what? I might have to sail the seven seas and check that out. Might have to might have to do that. Might have to sail them seven seas. Yar. They want you to. Carmen says they want you to say certain words like you're at Moe's Taverns from Simpsons. I know. Remember? I don't know if you remember me, Carlton. I've called that out like a number of times for years on the stream, where I used to say that people keep trying to get me to say stuff like as if I didn't watch like 30 years of The Simpsons from like 1989 to like now. I haven't watched the last season or two, last two seasons this year and last year, but you know, look, I've been watching The Simpsons since '89, so it's '99, 2009, 2019. Yeah, so I've been watching The Simpsons for over 30 years now. You really think I'm going to be stupid enough to like just be like repeat something after I've seen Bart like for like 5 to 10 years troll Moe? Moe finally got him back on one episode where he got Bart to say something dumb. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, we're Gen X. You're not gonna get us on some corny stuff like that. Gen Z is complete. Gen Z is completely clueless of their parents' generation. Like we're not boomers. Like we grew up with everything they had. It's just that we also lived in a time before internet um, took over people's lives. So we have the best of both worlds. We had the we had lives before people lived them online. Then we had the digital adulthoods where we were able to quickly adapt to like internet and smartphones and everything else, just like the younger generations. So I don't know why they think they're doing something new with stuff that we've already done when we were young. Like trying to get me to say something like, really? This is what I'm talking about. Low IQ trolls. Howard Clegg says critical thinkers are not the common anymore, but uh, used to be, but no longer. See, Oh, and it's Finn Linton. Sorry, I thought it was Finn Lit. Finn Linton. Again, thank you for this super gift. Uh, I I'll say this: I'm not sure that critical thinkers have ever been common. To be quite honest, outside of academic environments. But what I will say is that we didn't always live in anti-intellectual societies, so that part is true. I don't think critical thinking has ever been common, to be honest. But I do think we used to live in times where intellectualism was a virtue, but we live in an anti-intellectualist society. Even ironically, the intellectual and cultural elite tend to be they tend to actually be the most intellectual, are the intellectual cultural elite. Um, so go figure that. Uh, Carter says the dark magician. Hey, I'm having a black party and you're invited. Right. it, it's so funny that people come to try to troll me, saying stuff they would not say to me in my face because you know they don't they people say stuff online because they won't get punched in the mouth for it. And there are some bold people, particularly in higher income neighborhoods, who are more disrespectful to each other than in lower income neighborhoods. Because in lower income neighborhoods, you're more likely to get G checked for for disrespecting someone, whereas you can be disrespectful more often in higher socioeconomic um, communities because people aren't going to G check you there, except for the few people who might originally come from humble origins and you you know you strike a nerve. But I'm I'm not afraid to G check someone. So it's funny when people have so much lip online. Is it the trolls or keyboard warriors? Definitely so. Joseph says, is violence a solution? Solution to what? You say, is it a solution? A solution to what? Isa dash P91 says hello. What's up? Like you can't throw out a blanket statement like, oh, it's something that's to making you feel validated. What? That again, that doesn't make sense. If you have if you have a point of view about what I said, then just go out, come out and say it instead of trying to ask leading questions. Asking me leading questions doesn't work. You're not an attorney and you're not smart enough to draw me out to have uh, a certain response that you want to hear. So if you are trying to lead me to a certain response, it's not going to work. Just go out and say what you think you're trying to say. It's not a normal question. It's a vague question. I don't fall for that bullshit. It's a leading question. It's leading question. Again, that shit works on stupid people. You're not that clever. Uh, assigned to someone, you know, isn't very smart. They take themselves to be smarter than what they actually are. He says, so you determine what is and what isn't. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what I do determine, that you aren't on here anymore. Again, this is someone who's these are stupid people. The worst type of stupid person is the one who thinks they're smart, like that guy Joseph. They're so self-convinced that they lack good sense that they never search for more of it. You know, and I don't have patience to deal with a stupid person who thinks they're smart. It's like a fat person who thinks they're physically fit. It's like, what are we doing here? And he's asking these little fortune cookie questions, thinking he sounds like he's saying something. He's saying something like outstanding, profound. Stone Cold Steve Rice is physically fit. Uh, is ice cream fantastic? I don't. Okay, I don't get where you're going with that. All right, Stone Cold. I think you might need to sober up, bro. Again, I don't put up with the whole Gus Fring thing because I look nothing like him. So I have trained my AI to time people out when they refer to me as Gus Fring. Literally look nothing like the guy. He's light skinned. I'm not. He's 20 years older than I am. He's half Italian. I'm not. So no. And I'm like, the only thing you see is that we're both black and wearing reading glasses. Really? So would any white person with glasses also look like every other white person with glasses as well? I'm racist. All right, so now you gotta go because I think you're retarded, Stone Cold. You've been saying a bunch of moronic comments for the whole time. So now, oh, I'm sorry, Stone Cold. You said the other guy. It is racist. I look nothing like Gus Fring. Like if you look at the trajectory of that guy's career from She's Gotta Have It to now, because he started off in Spike Lee movies. I don't. He's probably in other stuff besides Spike Lee movies, but he was in like Spike Lee movies from like the '80s till and then throughout the '90s, 2000s to he expanded. Now he's like the bad guy in every major like franchise now. Star Wars, Marvel, Breaking Bad, even DC. I think yeah, I think he was a bad guy in DC in the DCU movie as well. He's like in everything now. But yeah, he was like the dude and She's Gotta Have It. Then in um what was the Spike Lee college movie? They made us watch when if you were joining a frat, if you were joining a black fraternity, they wanted you to watch that. Um, but yeah, I literally look nothing like the guy. Then people say I look like Don Cheadle, the guy who played Iron Man's best friend. I'm like, I don't look like Don Cheadle. Like I was showing, like, so I was actually showing my wife a movie where I was saying a lot of people when I was younger said I looked like. I said, I was showing her. We were watching Juice, and I was telling her, I was like, baby, I was like, people when I was little used to always say I look like Omar Epps from the movie Juice, and she was like, I don't see it. I was like, oh, okay. And then the only two other people I heard people say I look like was Big Daddy Kane. I don't think I look anything like Big Daddy Kane, but dude was fly back in the day, so I wouldn't have taken it as an insult. And Blair Underwood, who was in the movie Set It Off, he was more famously known in soap operas back in the day, like in the '80s and '90s. But I think for the more the hood culture, a lot of people recognized him from the movie Set It Off with like Jada Pinkett and Queen Latifah and all of that. Junior Horizon says you said that as it was my first time coming in here, and I immediately said in my mind that you look like Gus, but that's just at first glance. But that's not because you're just black. Again, that's just you, bro. Because again, no one who's used to seeing black people will think I remotely look like Gus Fring. Like I said, the dude is half Italian and light skinned. So he has straight hair and he's light skinned. He looks completely different from me, not to mention he's 20 years older than me. We look nothing alike. And if you look at him when he was younger, we look even less alike when at a younger age. So no. Carlton Carlton says, yeah, Giancarlo's a great actor. I'm glad he's getting his flowers. Yeah, it because like I said, it took him a while. Because a lot of I think a lot of great actors started off in Spike Lee films. Like I think Spike Lee's movies were like a great foundation for a lot of actors coming into Hollywood. Like Giancarlo Esposito, Denzel Washington, uh, Wesley Snipes. Um, who else? Several others, but like a lot of, but yeah, a lot of people uh, got their start in Hollywood and Spike Lee films for black actors because there was limited roles for black actors in Hollywood. So you know, Spike Lee was one of the few black filmmakers in the time um, who had enough social cachet in Hollywood to get his movies made. Like they weren't budget, big big budget films, but they would get you they will get you on the silver screen so that you can leverage leverage your your experiences to appear in other films like school days. That's the name of the one in college. So for instance, like a lot of the actors in School Days ended up becoming actors on the TV show A Different World, which was the spinoff from Cosby Show back in the 80s. So a lot of those actors coming from School Days be, because of their recognition in that film were able to transcend into television and have a regular gig working on A Different World. Stone Cold said you don't look like Bubba from Forrest Gump either. I would I would think not. Like he was a bigger dude than me. Pause. But yeah, yeah. I don't think I look like him either. Junior Ryan says, imagine someone genuinely went up to him and said that. Yeah, he's especially black actors. Cuba Gooding Jr. too, I think. Yeah, like I said, everyone says I look like Gus Fring right here, but everyone who said it has been like white, and so like I said, I think they don't live around. They don't have a lot of black friends to to think, or they just not around a lot of black folks to think that I would look like Gus Frings. Like I said, if you see enough black men, like no no one in my community would think I look like Gus Fring. It's like what? They're like if I literally went around telling people like yeah, people say I look like Gus Fring. People are like, are you smoking? You must be smoking that crack. Like you don't look you don't look anything like Gus Fring. Like it's like you don't look anything like Giancarlo Esposito. Lawrence Fishburne is another actor in the Spike Lee camp. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. I was thinking, Yeah. Wait, what movie was he in? Spike Lee? Because I normally think of Lawrence Fishburne in the films with what's the dude the director who died who did Boys in the Hood and um Boys in the Hood and Baby Boy and Poetic Justice. Like I always think of him under that actor. I mean under that director. Sorry. Stone Cold Steve Rock says, but in my opinion, Spike Lee sold out after wearing all that to the basketball game and then apologizing to Israel. He needed to stand up for whatever he believed. I don't. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I don't think he sold out. But I don't agree. I don't agree with his politics. Like I stopped following him on Instagram because he was like, I think he was like stumping for Kamala too hard and trying to shame black people who didn't vote for her. I'm like, why? First of all, she's not even black. Two, even if she is black, that doesn't mean that a black politician necessarily has the interests of black people um, when they run for office. And three, like, dude, we're not all we're not all gonna vote the same way. So that's why I stopped following him online. I mean, yeah, on Instagram. But as far as his films, I think his films haven't changed. I think his films have always been like he's always been more of an independent or auteur type filmmaker, which can be hit or miss. Many of them are many of them are misses, but he does have a few hits like Malcolm X that was a hit. Do the Right Thing that was a hit. Um, well, those are the two biggest. Pause. Uh, what what if she's got to have it? No. Jungle Fever. Eh, I think that was a hit, although I think it's mixed. Yeah, yeah. Jungle Fever was a hit. However, I don't like how. I, yeah, Jungle Fever was a hit. Like it was a good movie. It definitely got a lot of attention, but I don't like the message that it gave. That you're not supposed to be with non-black women. So Carson says Fishburne was in School Days. Oh yeah, 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 right, right. He was the star. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He was the freaking star of School Days. Duh. I'm completely off. Yeah. That was one of his earliest movies, other than the movie he did when he was a kid, when he did uh when he was still known as Larry Fish. Remember, when he first came out, he was still known as Larry Fishburne. It wasn't Lawrence. Once he started getting that that respect with a K, respect, he changed it to Lawrence Fishburne. You gonna call me Lawrence now, bitches? But remember, it was originally. If you look at his old movies, you look at the credits, it was Larry Fishburne back then, right? um, what was that movie? When he played the kid. Um, it was in the '70s. Damn, I forgot the name of that movie. He's like, "Wake up!" Yeah, he played one. He played the pro blackity black character that was anti frat and all that sort of stuff. It was Yeah, that was so funny. Which is ironic because the 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 movie has an anti Greek message, but if you were planning on joining a Black Greek lettered organization or BGLO or the PHC Pan Hellenic Council, like you know alphas, noops, Qs, iotas, sigmas, whatever. They would say, yo, you if you haven't watched School Days, you need to watch that because he Spike did do his research. Like the stuff they were doing was kind of realistic. Now I don't know if they still do now because we're talking like 25 years ago. But yeah, even but like 25, even though the movie came out in the 80s, like what like 89 or something. But even though the movie came out way back then, um, he, uh, when I was joining a certain fraternity, I didn't end up going with them. But I didn't drop the line because you're considered dirt if you drop a line. I didn't drop the line, so I ended up not doing it before they started the line, and I ended up forming a multi ethnic fraternity. Um, but anyway, yeah, they were like, you gotta watch School Days if you haven't seen it. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen it. They said okay, and then they want you to buy the this book called The Divine Nine because that's what they call all the black fraternities and sororities, the Divine Nine. Royal Cowboy says, brother, you look like Virtual from the WCW, the wrestler Virtual. You mean Virtual? You mean Vert? What's his name? Virtue, not Virtual. I think you're misspelling that. I think you. I think I know who you're talking about. Um, Bro also said Tarantino is racist for using the N word in his movies. Yeah, that was crazy too. He was like, "Oh," because Tarantino called him out. He was like, "Oh, so you saying I can't have people using the N word in my movies, even though that's how people would actually talk to each other, but you can use it because you're black." He was like, He was like, "Yo, that's unfair. Like, how am I supposed to do a realistic portrayal of dialogue amongst my characters and they not use the N word because that's going to happen." Meanwhile, Spike Lee is able to portray unrealistic versions of Italians in his movies. So yeah, uh, I'm gonna unhide you because I think Streamlabs was wrong for hiding you for that. I don't know why it did. Carlin says Apocalypse Now. Yeah. School Days has a scene going in on Pan Africanism. Yeah, so yeah, to be fair, so he does show them attacking the Pan Africanism, pro blackly black. Like I said, those Pan Africanists and pro blackly blacks, to me, they have always been just disingenuous, and it's just evolved over the years. But it's they have always been pretty disingenuous to me. Anyway, guys, I'm about to get off, talk to the wifey and all that good stuff. It's our anniversary tomorrow, which overseas it already is today. So go talk with her because she's about to go on a 4 week trip to an island. So hopefully she'll give us a video that I can upload once she's edited next week, so I can put it on here for you guys to see more of these places. I put so many gems on here of places you will never see anywhere else on probably on YouTube. I mean, well, you might have a few like travel vloggers that have gone to these places, but she goes deep into places you will probably rarely ever see anywhere on YouTube. And I get really they I wish they got better reception. Carlos says congrats on the anniversary. Thank you. So it's not a wedding anniversary. This is our dating anniversary. Of course, we got married the same year that we started dating, so they fall in line. Um, but yeah, this is our dating anniversary. Um, our ninth, the ninth one, not the Big Ten yet, but the ninth one. So I'm gonna go spend some time with her, guys. So I'm out. Take it easy. Thank you everyone who contributed. Thank you for the super gifts. It will be put to good use. So I'll be back again tomorrow, guys. Have a good evening or good day if you're on the other side of the world. Peace out.